One introduction RAWSEP view: the United States government was on track in the Biden administration to reduce the prices for both clean energy heat pumps and clean energy electric cars. Trump tariffs are expected to upset those plans to prevent future air pollution and prevent climate change. The United States government should, instead of certifying wood stoves as safe when they are not safe, go forward with regulations that ban wood stove use and direct government money for use of forest refuse only. For home building and furniture building, for just a few examples of use of forest products for non-burning uses, it is well known from scientific and medical research that wood burning is a substantial source of PM 2.5 emissions, yet the wood burning industry uses the scientifically debunked theory named carbon neutrality of wood burning to argue that wood burning replacing coal burning in industry, and in a trickle-down argument that wood burning should continue for home heating should continue. Presumably because it is called renewable, wood may be renewable in the sense that a tree can be planted in the place of a cut-down burned tree, but it takes centuries or decades for the newly planted tree to attain the stature of the cut-down burned tree. During those centuries or decades, photosynthesis, which converts CO2 to oxygen and so sequesters some carbon, will not take place at the same rate as photosynthesis was performed previously, and wood burning emits both CO2 and PM 2.5, and PM 2.5 is not absorbed by trees, so PM 2.5 is not diminished by planting a tree in the place of a cut-down and burned tree. In fact, a living tree closes its pores against the presence of PM 2.5 from nearby wood burning, just as humans hold their breath in the presence of PM 2.5 from nearby wood burning. And when a tree closes its pores, the level of photosynthesis that absorbs CO2 pollution goes down. Wood burning emits 90% PM 2.5 particulate matter of 2.5 micrometer size, the perfect size to infiltrate the human lungs, setting off a cascade of human health problems and early deaths. Contrary to many beliefs, wood burning emits 2.8 times the PM 2.5 as the fossil fuel coal burning, and wood burning emits 450 times the PM 2.5 as the fossil fuel natural gas burning. Replacing coal burning with wood burning creates more air pollution in the form of CO2 and PM 2.5 than coal burning. This emission data comes from testing the cleanest burning wood stove in the United Kingdom, the Eco-Design Wood Stove, and International Convention does not count the emissions from wood burning. The emissions from wood burning are erased from all countries around the world when calculating if each country has met its climate goals. This non-counting or erasure of wood burning emissions data from climate goals does not mean wood burning emissions do not exist. RAWSEP view: purple air PM 2.5 monitors hanging from the eaves of the house of a near neighbor should be used to measure the level of PM 2.5 in the air hyperlocally in the yards of near neighbors of indoor residential wood burners. If PM 2.5 levels exceed World Health Organization standards of 5 micrograms per cubic meter annually, then that evidence of air pollution from wood burning should lead to the shutdown of that indoor residential wood burning appliance, one appliance at a time if necessary.
Hi, my name is Lily. Andrew gave you the intro to Residents Against Wood Smoke Emission Particulates and their concern for air pollution from indoor residential wood burning. Residents Against Wood Smoke Emission Particulates, or RAWSEP, would like every near neighbor of an indoor residential wood burner whose wood smoke enters their yards and sickens the near neighbors to have a purple air PM 2.5 monitor hanging from the eaves of their home to measure the level of PM 2.5 entering their yards. That measurement of air pollution should be used as evidence of unnecessary air pollution, and each indoor residential wood burner should be shut down based on that evidence, one indoor residential wood burner at a time if necessary. The presentation by Andrew ended at 2 minutes 5 seconds. The same presentation by Emma starts at 2 minutes 3 seconds before the end of this podcast. So I am Lily, your timekeeper, and you can start the next podcast at 2 minutes 5 seconds in if you would not like to see the presentation by Andrew a second time. This presentation by me, Lily, ends at 5 minutes in. What you will see in the main content of this RAWSEP podcast will be news about air pollution from indoor residential wood burning, and how that air pollution is being combated by ordinary people just like you who are unfortunately near neighbors of indoor residential wood burners at this time. There will also be news about unnecessary and highly polluting use of wood as fuel in industrial wood burners and preventable air pollution from wood burning wildfires. There will also be news about air pollution from PM 2.5 from gas-powered cars. There will also be news about airborne diseases which are also preventable with vaccines such as COVID-19 and measles and whooping cough, to name just a few. In 2025, Residents Against Wood Smoke Emission Particulates is also concerned with combating the Trump destruction of government funding for programs which protect human health through the Department of Health and Human Services, and Trump destruction of programs which fund the science and medical research plan to protect human health from preventable illnesses. Protecting human health is a patriotic act, and our defense against enemies is weakened if we are not as healthy as we can be. Heat pump rebates are now offered by the federal government, distributed through the eligible United States, are available in 2025, and are the best, cleanest, and now cheapest alternative to indoor residential wood burning if that burning is actually done to purportedly save money. Wind and solar as sources of the electricity that powers heat pumps and electric cars is also cheaper than burning wood. The adverse health effects that are caused by indoor residential wood burning also come at a cost to near neighbors, both in shortening and ending their lives, and in actual hospital, clinic, and funeral costs. Instead of being compensated monetarily, near neighbors should instead be able to achieve immediate relief by stopping indoor residential wood burning in their hyper-localized neighborhoods, which relief readings from purple air PM 2.5 monitors used as evidence of air pollution will help them achieve. Welcome to news about hopeful scientific and medical achievements that will also help us achieve the goal of clean air to breathe.
Webisode 57DHYAFM December 22, 2025 Trump halts 5 wind farms off the East Coast. In Webisode 57DHYAFM 1 Trump halts 5 wind farms off the East Coast. 2 How the Trump first year reshaped U.S. energy and climate policy. 3 Can you spot a health scam? 5 Far-right U.S. neo-Nazi terror group steps up U.S. operations as FBI pulls back online activity, shows the base headed by alleged Russian asset Rinaldo Nazzaro sees U.S. and Ukraine as key centers. 6 Universities who finishes first in life. Often late bloomers in new studies suggest that the people who reach the pinnacle of their fields typically dabbled in multiple disciplines when they were young. 7 and 8 Headlines main content. 1 Trump halts 5 wind farms off the East Coast. The Interior Department said the projects pose national security risks without providing details. The decision imperils billions of dollars of investments. 691 wind turbine parts on a pier. Parts for the construction of Revolution Wind, one of 5 projects the Trump administration paused on Monday. Excerpts edited by RAWSEP for brevity and clarity. In relationship to residents against wood smoke emission particulates, a 501c3 nonprofit organization. The New York Times December 22, 2025 The Trump administration on Monday said it would pause leases for 5 wind farms under construction off the East Coast, essentially gutting the American nascent offshore wind industry in a sharp escalation of President Trump's crusade against the renewable energy source. The decision injected uncertainty into projects that were collectively expected to power more than 2.5 million homes and businesses across the eastern United States. It left intact just 2 operational wind farms in U.S. coastal waters, 1 small project off Rhode Island that has been complete since 2016, and a larger project off New York that has been fully operational since 2023. The 5 wind farms targeted on Monday had all obtained leases from the Biden administration, but citing unspecified national security concerns, the Trump administration said it would freeze those leases, effectively blocking construction or operations and jeopardizing billions of dollars that have already been invested. One of the projects, Vineyard Wind 1 off Massachusetts, is already partially running with about half of the 62 turbines of the project sending power to the electric grid. In addition to Vineyard Wind 1, the other projects affected by the pause are Coastal Virginia Offshore Wind off Virginia, Sunrise Wind and Empire Wind off New York, and Revolution Wind off Rhode Island and Connecticut. The abrupt announcement left the wind farm builders sputtering. David Schoetz, a spokesman for Equinor, the developer of Empire Wind, said the company was reviewing the stop work order and seeking more information from the government. Jeremy Slayton, a spokesman for Dominion Energy, called the Coastal Virginia Offshore Wind project essential for American national security and meeting the dramatically growing energy needs of Virginia. The company argued that stopping the project for any length of time would threaten grid reliability for some of the nation's most important war-fighting AI and civilian assets. Slayton also dismissed the Trump unspecified national security concerns, saying the wind farm was developed in close coordination with the military. He also noted that the 2 pilot turbines of the project have been operating for 5 years without causing any impacts to national security. We stand ready to do what is necessary to get these vital electrons flowing as quickly as possible, Slayton said. Representatives for developers of the other projects, including the Danish energy giant Ørsted, did not immediately respond to requests for comment. Coastal Virginia Offshore Wind had escaped attention from the Trump administration for months, in part because of strong support from Governor Glenn Youngkin, Republican of Virginia, but its fate became uncertain after Abigail Spanberger, a moderate Democrat, won the Virginia race for governor in November to succeed Youngkin. In New York, Empire Wind has had an on-again, off-again relationship with the Trump administration. In April, the Interior Department ordered that construction be stopped on Empire Wind, pushing the $5 billion project to the brink of collapse. After several weeks in negotiations with Governor Kathy Hochul, a Democrat, the administration allowed the project to proceed, at least until now. Representatives for Hochul did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Senator Chuck Schumer, Democrat of New York, said in a statement the Trump obsession with killing offshore wind projects is unhinged, irrational, and unjustified. He said New York would keep fighting the administration's stop work orders on Empire and other offshore wind projects. The financial consequences for the developers of the 5 offshore wind farms could be dire. When work on Empire Wind was initially paused in April, Equinor said it was losing $50 million a week because of idled equipment and workers' delays. To Revolution Wind were estimated to cost its developer Ørsted approximately $15 million per week. In October, Ørsted said it would cut about 2,000 jobs, or around 25% of its workforce, over the next 2 years, a decision fueled by the Trump actions, as well as tariffs, high inflation, and interest rates. On the first day of his second presidential term, Trump issued a sweeping executive order halting all leasing of federal lands and waters for new wind farms. His administration has since gone after wind farms that had received permits from the Biden administration and were either under construction or about to start. The administration's approach has suffered some legal setbacks. A federal judge this month struck down the halt on leasing mandated by the January order, saying it was arbitrary and capricious, violating federal law. Attorney General William Tong of Connecticut, a Democrat, said in a statement that the new order to pause Revolution Wind is even more lawless and erratic than the first. We went to court over this before, Tong said, noting that a court order is in place blocking the Trump previous attempt to stop the wind farm. Every day this project is stalled is another day of lost work, another day of unaffordable energy costs, another day burning fossil fuels when American-made clean energy is within reach, he said. 2 How the Trump first year reshaped U.S. energy and climate policy. The sweeping changes have affected everything from coal plant retirements to international diplomacy over shipping emissions. Excerpts edited by RAWSEP for brevity and clarity. In relationship to residents against wood smoke emission particulates, a 501c3 nonprofit organization. The New York Times December 22, 2025. In his first year back in office, President Trump has rapidly reshaped the American climate and energy landscape, his administration dismantled a wide range of climate and pollution regulations, began to overhaul how the federal government responds to disasters, and gave a boost to fossil fuel production and nuclear power while attempting to curtail the growth of wind and solar energy. The changes have reverberated far beyond the United States, as the administration has pressured other countries to abandon their own efforts to tackle global warming. Here is a look at some of the biggest changes in U.S. energy and climate policy in 2025 environmental rules. Over the past year, the Environmental Protection Agency has moved to delay, ease, or eliminate more than a dozen regulations governing air pollution, with 4 proposed rollbacks of air pollution rules. The most consequential of those changes came in July, when the EPA said it would revoke the scientific determination that underpins the government's legal authority to combat climate change. That 2009 determination, known as the endangerment finding, concluded that greenhouse gases pose a threat to public health and welfare. The Obama and Biden administrations used that finding to set strict emissions limits on cars and power plants, which the Trump administration is in the process of undoing. But environmental activists and lawyers disagreed that deregulation would cut costs for consumers. They are not taking into account the very high costs of unchecked climate change, said the director of Harvard Law School Environmental and Energy Law Program. It costs hundreds of billions of dollars to respond to climate-related disasters, which are also leading to rising insurance costs. Their accounting treats all of this as if it is nothing. The Energy Department has intervened to stop aging coal plants from retiring. Nuclear safety regulators have been ordered to more quickly approve reactors. At the same time, Trump and his allies in Congress have repealed subsidies for solar panels, wind turbines, and electric vehicles, while agencies have slowed or stopped federal approvals for new wind and solar projects. The administration has also repealed or blocked vehicle efficiency standards that would have forced automakers to shift away from gasoline-burning cars. The result has been a transformation of the American energy sector. Tech companies and utilities are easing off their climate goals and ordering gigawatts worth of new plants that will burn natural gas to produce electricity needed for enormous data centers. The renewable energy industry, for its part, has seen considerable turmoil. Efforts to build giant offshore wind farms in the Atlantic Ocean have ground to a halt, and the Interior Department on Monday paused leases for the only 5 projects still under construction. Hundreds of solar power projects now face potential delays in federal permitting. All told, companies canceled more than $32 billion in planned clean energy investments in 2025. Free, can you spot a health scam? Take our quiz RAWSEP view, then take it again with the mindset of Maha voter who will fall for the most scams. Excerpts edited by RAWSEP for brevity and clarity in relationship to residents against wood smoke emission particulates. A 501c3 nonprofit organization. The New York Times, December 22, 2025. Does creatine really work? Are LED face masks worth the money? Test your knowledge of bogus remedies and real treatments. December 22, 2025. Some days it feels like there is a health scam everywhere you look. Let us see how well you can spot a grift. 1 of 10. Is swishing coconut oil around your mouth a good way to remove plaque from your teeth? Oil pulling, as the practice is known, has not been shown to reduce plaque. According to the American Dental Association, there are no reliable scientific studies to show that oil pulling reduces cavities, whitens teeth, or improves oral health and well-being. Also, experts say spitting oil down your sink can be tough on your plumbing. 3 of 10. Can LED face masks reduce the appearance of wrinkles and improve the elasticity of your skin? Research suggests that light therapy can benefit the skin, helping wounds heal and reducing inflammation. The evidence is not overwhelmingly in the favor of home LED treatments, but limited research shows a benefit when compared with a sham treatment. 7 of 10. Which of the following health benefits attributed to apple cider vinegar is best supported by science? Small studies suggest that drinking 1 to 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar mixed with water just before a carbohydrate-rich meal resulted in less drastic blood sugar spikes than those without it. The research is mixed for other health claims, and experts stress that more research is needed to show that apple cider vinegar is safe and beneficial for long-term use. 9 of 10. Which of these statements about plant-based meat is true? Plant-based meat products tend to be more nutritious than their animal-based counterparts, but they also typically count as ultra-processed foods. One place where fake meats fall short is that they generally have much more sodium than uncooked and unprocessed meats. You are street smart. You might fall for the occasional dubious claim, but you have your wits about you. For the most important thing we learned from Susie Wiles' RAWSEP view, the intoxication of power. Excerpts edited by RAWSEP for brevity and clarity in relationship to residents against wood smoke emission particulates. A 501c3 nonprofit organization. The New York Times, December 22, 2025. Vice President J.D. Vance is a conspiracy theorist. Russell Vought, the director of the Office of Management and Budget, is not merely a zealot, he's a right-wing absolute zealot. And President Trump governs with an alcoholic's personality. Ever since the publication last week of a 2-part article in Vanity Fair, in which Susie Wiles, the White House chief of staff, said all of that, and more, political observers have been asking, why did she do it? Why discard her usual discretion and speak so frankly on the record about her cracked compatriots in the Trump administration? It is a great question, but it is not the most important one, which is this: why does she do it? I am referring not to the interview, but to her job. If she can see the incoherence, immoderation, and instability all around her, why vet it? To both questions, the answer is surely the same. Wiles has been given a plum part in history, not to mention a history-making part, in that she's the first woman in her role. She relishes that enough to want recognition, enough to consent to 11 interviews with the journalist Chris Whipple, enough to position herself during those conversations as the even-keeled sage, appraising everyone around her. I do not ever seek attention, she told Whipple at one point, a statement that is a laugh line. She spoke to Whipple on Sundays after going to church. She spoke to him while she was doing laundry. She left an Oval Office meeting early to go speak with him. The Garbo of the West Wing. She's not the first year of the Trump return to the White House has shown or reminded us of many things, including the fragility of democracy, the prevalence of cowardice, and the intensity of tribalism, but it has been an especially stark and galling education in the intoxication of power. Wiles is certainly no Hegseth Scholey doing push-ups with the troops, but she's also human with an itch to make sure that her presence and her sway at the pinnacle of power do not go unnoticed, unrecorded, underappreciated. Even someone like Wiles savors the air up there, even if it is toxic with conspiracy theories and zealotry. 5 far-right U.S. neo-Nazi terror group steps up U.S. operations as FBI pulls back online activity, shows the base headed by alleged Russian asset Rinaldo Nazzaro sees U.S. and Ukraine as key centers. Excerpts edited by RAWSEP for brevity and clarity in relationship to residents against wood smoke emission particulates. A 501c3 nonprofit organization, The Guardian, December 22, 2025. Amid high-profile arrests in its Spanish cell, the American-born and designated neo-Nazi terrorist group The Base, once a major preoccupation of FBI counterterrorism efforts, has all but faded from U.S. headlines, but a flurry of online activities shows the group is still active stateside and considers the U.S. an operational nerve center headed by Rinaldo Nazzaro, an ex-Pentagon contractor turned alleged Russian intelligence asset. The Base has been busy of late pursuing European expansion. Besides its heavily armed members in Spain, its Ukrainian wing is linked to multiple acts of terrorism inside of the country and claimed the high-profile July assassination of an intelligence officer in Kiev. But the base's online footprint also paints a picture of a more careful, yet active American presence. Videos from November show masked men shooting military-style rifles and pistols in what they claim is an Appalachian forest. A June photo shows a cell from the middle of the Atlantic Ocean where 3 members are caught performing Sieg Heil salutes, with another from the Midwest showing 2 men firing pistols. In the shifting political climate of the second Trump administration, where the FBI has openly rerouted resources away from investigations of far-right extremists, the base appears free to organize and prepare for their stated objective of fomenting an armed insurgency against the U.S. government. At the same time, its recruitment has continued to funnel through a Russia email address and has not ceased since the 2020 FBI crackdown against it. There is reason to believe the base has also become a broader intelligence and security target in countries with capable spy agencies willing to devote resources at disrupting it, with legitimate questions surrounding its links to Russian sabotage operations a top security concern among European nations. The base is no longer considered an obscure American problem. Along with Spain, there were recent arrests of members in the Netherlands, Belgium, and the United Kingdom, with the European Union declaring it a terrorist group in the League of IS and Al-Qaeda. The Nazzaro recent audio clip also notably mentions how he saw the instability in Canada or the European Union as promising for the base recruitment. In his first explicit mention of Canadian activities in years, the former Canadian cell leader of the base, Patrick Matthews, is currently sitting in a U.S. prison for his part in illegally entering the U.S. and plotting a 2020 terrorist attack on a Virginia gun rights rally meant to incite a neo-Nazi revolution. 6 universities who finishes first in life, often late bloomers, and new studies suggest that the people who reach the pinnacle of their fields typically dabbled in multiple disciplines when they were young. Excerpts edited by RAWSEP for brevity and clarity in relationship to residents against wood smoke emission particulates. A 501c3 nonprofit organization, The New York Times, December 22, 2025. Young prodigies, the teenage sports stars, the high schoolers soaring up the chess ranks or making scientific discoveries are usually not the same people who reach the pinnacles of their fields in adulthood, according to a new study, and the two groups begin their journeys in very different ways. The study, published on Thursday in the journal Science, found that elite achievement in youth typically starts with a focus on one thing. A pianist plays no other instrument, a swimmer stays off the running track. But the people who achieve the most later in life typically start off with less single-minded engagement across multiple disciplines and less early success. When comparing performers across the highest levels of achievement, the researchers wrote, the evidence suggests that eventual peak performance is negatively associated with early performance. Most of them, highest achievers in the analysis, were not among the best of their age when they were young, but they demonstrated a marked increase in performance improvement around the middle part of their careers. The researchers offered 3 hypotheses. First, children who try a range of activities may have a better chance of finding one that they are exceptionally good at. Second, someone may develop a higher capacity for learning after being challenged early in life by a variety of tasks and situations. Third, children who put all their eggs in one basket run the risk of developing overuse, injuries, or burning out mentally. Many of them drop out prematurely because this pattern of engagement is associated with increased risk. Maybe you are much better in another discipline, but you will never get to know because you have not tried it out. So kids, try picking up new activities. Who knows, you might win a Nobel Prize. 7 headlines. The New York Times, December 22, 2025. Air pollution deregulated, how the Trump first year reshaped U.S. energy and climate policy. The New York Times, air pollution deregulated, Trump halts 5 wind farms off the East Coast. The New York Times, consumers reading why I stopped reading and embraced audiobooks. The New York Times, Denmark, angering Denmark, Trump appoints special envoy to Greenland. The New York Times, RFK Jr., lack of knowledge of science and medicine. Can you spot a health scam? Take our quiz. The New York Times, Russia and Syrian exiles after the Assad regime fall, his enforcers are lying low and living large. The New York Times, Russia and Syrian exiles, Assad ousted Syrian ruler leads life of luxury in Russia. The New York Times, trees not killing live trees to serve as holiday decorations. Christmas trappings, New England swoons over lobster pot trees. The New York Times, Trump affordability for the rich. Hundreds of big post-election donors have benefited from the Trump return to office. The New York Times, Trump agriculture fallout, agriculture department shed a 1/5 of its workers. The New York Times, Trump ally opinion, the most important thing we learned from Susie, whilst the New York Times, Trump death penalty departing, their death sentences were commuted by Biden, they could face execution again. The New York Times, Trump idea, are the Trump actions unprecedented? We asked historians again. The New York Times, Trump legal defenses, ex-CIA chief wants to block Judge Cannon from inquiry pushed by Trump allies. The New York Times, Trump live updates president to make announcement with Hegseth in Florida. The New York Times TV, Larry Ellison personally guarantees Paramount bid for Warner Brothers. The New York Times, universities, people who achieve the most later in life typically start off dabbling in discipline. Study shows the New York Times, Vance and Republicans at turning point fest. Vance refuses to take sides and fight over bigotry. The New York Times. 8 headlines. The Guardian, December 22, 2025. Trump Epstein fallout. Yet again, released Epstein files raise more questions than answers. Moira Donegan, The Guardian. Trumpist far-right neo-Nazi terror group steps up U.S. operations as FBI pulls back far-right U.S. The Guardian.
Red Green Fox here. The quick Red Green Fox. jumped over the barriers to clean air. Red Green Fox here, ready to sing to you the names of the 2025 major wood-burning biomass industry subsidy opponents. 1 Biofuel Watch. 2 Bulkley Valley Stewardship Coalition of British Columbia, Canada. 3 Comite Schoen Luft, which means Beautiful Air Committee in German. 4 Dogwood Alliance. 5 Equity Group Foundation, nicknamed EGF. 6 Environmental Paper Network, nicknamed EPN. 7 Natural Resources Defense Council, nicknamed NRDC. 8 Prakaunia Narzexwisseskick Istet, which means Workshop for All Beings in Polish. 9 Rachel Carson Council. 10 Solutions for Our Climate, nicknamed SFOC.
Cat's corner strategy with Tiger and Leone. Saying the quiet part out loud. Roar. Hi, I am Tiger. Our human asked us to get up from our naps and start Cat's corner strategy with Tiger and Leone. She gave us a list of internet allies which we will post for her here.
Hi, I am Leone. It is better for your mental fitness to go to these websites than to go to bro sites for advice. Substack letters from an American Heather Cox Richardson. Substack your local epidemiologist. The Midas Touch. The Guardian. The New York Times.
One introduction. RAWSEP view. The United States government was on track in the Biden administration to reduce the prices for both clean energy heat pumps and clean energy electric cars. Trump tariffs are expected to upset those plans to prevent future air pollution and prevent climate change. The United States government should, instead of certifying wood stoves as safe when they are not safe, go forward with regulations that ban wood stove use and direct government money for use of forest refuse only for home building and furniture building. For just a few examples of use of forest products for non-burning uses, it is well known from scientific and medical research that wood burning is a substantial source of PM 2.5 emissions, yet the wood burning industry uses the scientifically debunked theory named carbon neutrality of wood burning to argue that wood burning replacing coal burning in industry, and in a trickle-down argument that wood burning should continue for home heating should continue. Presumably because it is called renewable, wood may be renewable in the sense that a tree can be planted in the place of a cut-down burned tree. But it takes centuries or decades for the newly planted tree to attain the stature of the cut-down burned tree. During those centuries or decades, photosynthesis, which converts CO2 to oxygen, and so sequesters some carbon, will not take place at the same rate as photosynthesis was performed previously, and wood burning emits both CO2 and PM 2.5, and PM 2.5 is not absorbed by trees, so PM 2.5 is not diminished by planting a tree in the place of a cut-down and burned tree. In fact, a living tree closes its pores against the presence of PM 2.5 from nearby wood burning, just as humans hold their breath in the presence of PM 2.5 from nearby wood burning. And when a tree closes its pores, the level of photosynthesis that absorbs CO2 pollution goes down. Wood burning emits 90% PM 2.5 particulate matter of 2.5 micrometer size, the perfect size to infiltrate the human lung, setting off a cascade of human health problems and early deaths. Contrary to many beliefs, wood burning emits 2.8 times the PM 2.5 as the fossil fuel coal burning, and wood burning emits 450 times the PM 2.5 as the fossil fuel natural gas burning. Replacing coal burning with wood burning creates more air pollution in the form of CO2 and PM 2.5 than coal burning. This emission data comes from testing the cleanest burning wood stove in the United Kingdom. The Eco-Design Wood Stove and International Convention does not count the emissions from wood burning. The emissions from wood burning are erased from all countries around the world when calculating if each country has met its climate goals. This non-counting or erasure of wood burning emissions data from climate goals does not mean wood burning emissions do not exist. RAWSEP view. Purple air. PM 2.5 monitors hanging from the eaves of the house of a near neighbor should be used to measure the level of PM 2.5 in the air hyperlocally in the yards of near neighbors of indoor residential wood burners. If PM 2.5 levels exceed World Health Organization standards of 5 micrograms per cubic meter annually, then that evidence of air pollution from wood burning should lead to the shutdown of that indoor residential wood burning appliance, one appliance at a time if necessary.